Ever imagine yourself trading that usual faculty lounge for one with, say, a view of the Burj Khalifa? Today's deep dive is all about, well, making that a reality. We're talking academia, but not the usual publish or perish grind.
Mm.
Think the Middle East. We've got like a trove of insider info to unpack. Firsthand accounts, the lowdown on why this region is like an academic gold mine, and even how to navigate the job market there.
Yeah.
And luckily, we've got an expert who's not only like well versed in the world of international higher education, but also knows the Middle East academic scene like the back of their hand.
It's a fascinating landscape. It often gets overshadowed by stereotypes, but let me tell you, the reality is far more nuanced and exciting than many people realize.
Stereotypes. That's the perfect place to start. Actually, I think many picture a very specific image when they hear Middle East, and it's not necessarily one of cutting edge labs and lecture halls.
Hmm.
So what's the reality check here?
It's a melting pot. We're talking about a mix of nationalities, cultures, and institutions that are as diverse as the research happening within their walls.
Yeah.
You've got centuries-old centers of learning alongside like gleaming modern campuses equipped with the latest technology.
So it's luck about like fitting into some rigid mold, and more about finding your niche in a vibrant, globalized academic community.
Exactly. It's like any other academic hub in that sense. Think Boston or London, but with the added dimension of being at this crossroads of cultures and history.
Okay, that's definitely painting a different picture than most might expect. But let's talk practicality for a moment. What are the tangible benefits that might draw academics to the Middle East?
Let's start with the financial side. Tax-free salaries aren't just a perk; they're a game changer for many. I remember when I first moved, being able to actually pursue a personal research project thanks to having more financial freedom. That wouldn't have been possible back home with the cost of living and, well, taxes.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hear about tax benefits, but to actually experience the impact on your life and career choices, that's a whole other level of incentive.
Absolutely. And it's not just the salary. The benefits packages can be incredibly generous. We're talking housing allowances, often covering a significant portion, if not all, of your rent, education allowances for children, top-notch health insurance, even annual flights home for you and your family.
Hold on, wait. Annual flights for the entire family? That's like a free vacation built into your contract.
It's true. Institutions understand that attracting top talent often means relocating families, so they make it as appealing and supportive as possible.
Wow, I can see why someone might start browsing for academic jobs right about now. But what about the cost of living? Dubai, for instance, has a reputation for being, shall we say, a bit pricey. Is it actually affordable to live there?
Dubai certainly has its luxurious side, no doubt. But the cost of living, while comparable to major global cities, can be surprisingly manageable, especially with those benefit packages we talked about. Plus, you've got options beyond Dubai, cities like Doha, Muscat, Abu Dhabi, each with its own vibe and cost of living.
It sounds like you're really encouraging people to look beyond the familiar names, to do their homework and discover the hidden gems within the region.
Absolutely. There's this misconception that it's all desert landscapes and towering skyscrapers.
Yeah.
But the reality is you have beaches, mountains, incredible historical sites, a diverse range of landscapes to explore in your downtime.
It's like having a built-in adventure waiting just outside your doorstep.
Speaking of adventure, let's talk about the academic landscape itself. What are the specific research strengths of the Middle East? The Middle East is investing heavily in research, particularly in fields related to their national visions and priorities. We're talking STEM fields for sure: artificial intelligence, renewable energy, water resource management, you name it. Governments here are like deeply invested in becoming global leaders in these areas, which translates to, well-funded research initiatives and state-of-the-art facilities.
So while Silicon Valley might be the tech hub we all know, the Middle East is quietly positioning itself as a future hub of innovation, attracting researchers who want to be at the forefront of those fields.
Exactly. And it's not just about the funding. There's a real hunger for knowledge and a drive to solve like global challenges. You see it in the collaborations happening across institutions and even across borders.
I mentioned collaborations. Are there specific institutions that stand out as like particularly strong in these cutting edge areas?
Absolutely. Khalifa University in the UAE, for example, is making waves in clean energy and sustainable technologies. They've got partnerships with MIT and other global leaders, attracting top researchers and students alike.
It's like becoming part of a global think tank, but with sunshine and maybe a side of falafel?
Exactly. And then you have places like King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia, known as COST for short.
Hmm.
They're renowned for their work in marine science, given their location on the Red Sea, but they're also doing groundbreaking research in areas like robotics and artificial intelligence.
Okay, so let's say someone listening is thinking, all right, this sounds incredible, but how do I actually get my foot in the door?
Hmm.
What advice would you give to academics looking to make that leap to the Middle East?
It's all about, well, strategic planning and understanding the nuances of the job market here. First things first, tailor your search. Don't just look for any open position in your field. Identify universities and research centers whose work aligns with your specific expertise.
So do your homework. Don't just like blast out generic applications.
Mhm.
Really target those institutions where you can see yourself thriving.
Precisely. And look beyond the typical job boards. Networking is absolutely crucial in this region. Attending international conferences, reaching out to people on LinkedIn who work at your target institutions, those personal connections can be invaluable.
It's like having a guide in unfamiliar territory, someone who can give you the lay of the land and make those all-important introductions.
You've got it. People are generally very, very welcoming and eager to share their experiences. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask for, like informational interviews or advice on navigating the job market here.
So put yourself out there, make those connections, and who knows what doors might open. Right.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to the application itself, highlight your international experience and emphasize any collaborations you've had with researchers in the Middle East. It shows that you understand the region and are invested in building on those existing connections.
So it's not just about what you bring to the table. It's about like how you fit into that larger network of academic collaboration.
Precisely. And demonstrate cultural sensitivity and a willingness to adapt. Familiarize yourself with the cultural norms and expectations of the region and emphasize your openness to learning and growing in a new environment.
It's like any new job. In a way, you want to show that you're not just there for the paycheck. You're there to contribute, learn, and become part of that community.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about finding the right fit, both professionally and personally.
Speaking of fit, what about the different types of institutions? We've mentioned public and private universities. Are there key distinctions academics should be aware of when considering their options?
That's a crucial point. Public universities, often those with substantial government funding, tend to offer more resources for research, especially like large-scale projects.
So if you're a researcher with big ideas that require, significant funding, a public university might be the way to go.
It's worth serious consideration. Now, this doesn't mean private universities don't support research. They often have their niche areas of focus and funding models, sometimes relying more on industry partnerships or endowments.
So it's about understanding your own research needs and priorities than finding the institution that aligns best. What about teaching loads? Are there noticeable differences between public and private institutions in that regard?
That's a practical consideration for sure. Public universities in general may have a heavier teaching load, while private institutions might offer smaller class sizes and more opportunities for one-on-one mentoring.
It's that classic trade-off. More time in the lab or more time, nurturing the next generation of scholars. It really boils down to personal preference and career goals.
You got it. And remember, this is where those informational interviews come in handy. Talking to people who've worked in both settings can give you invaluable insights into the day-to-day realities of each.
It's about gathering those insider perspectives, those nuggets of wisdom that don't always make it into the official brochures.
Precisely. Now, before we get too caught up in the practicalities, let's address the elephant in the room, the cultural aspect. It's natural for people to wonder about, what it's actually like to work in a predominantly Muslim region.
Right. It's one thing to read about it, but quite another to imagine yourself, living and working there.
The academic environment in the Middle East is generally very, very international and welcoming to newcomers. You'll encounter colleagues from all over the world representing diverse backgrounds and beliefs.
Right.
However, it's important to approach any new culture with with sensitivity and respect.
So being mindful of local customs, dress codes, those sorts of things,
Yeah.
it's about being a respectful guest, essentially.
Precisely. For example, dress codes tend to be more conservative than what you might be accustomed to in some Western countries. It's not about changing who you are, but rather showing respect for local customs.
It's about finding that balance between staying true to yourself and being mindful of the an environment you're in.
Exactly. And most people in the region appreciate it when newcomers make an effort to understand and adapt to their culture. It goes a long way in building relationships and fostering a sense of belonging.
It sounds like open-mindedness and a genuine desire to connect with people, go a long way.
Absolutely. It's about building bridges, both professionally and personally. And universities in the Middle East are accustomed to welcoming international faculty and students. They often have like resources available to help with cultural adjustment, language learning, social integration. You're not just thrown in the deep end.
That's reassuring to hear. It's like having a support system in place, people who understand those initial hurdles and are there to help you navigate them.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's transforming academia globally, artificial intelligence. It's not just changing, what we research, but how we research. And I imagine the impact is being felt in the Middle East as well.
AI is definitely shaking things up, and the Middle East is no exception. In fact, many countries in the region have like ambitious AI strategies and are investing heavily in research and development.
So we're seeing that commitment to innovation play out in the AI field as well. Are there particular areas where AI research is particularly strong or focused in the Middle East?
One area that's particularly interesting is the use of AI in addressing like region-specific challenges. For instance, in the UAE, there's a lot of focus on using AI for water resource management, given the arid climate.
Yeah.
They're developing AI-powered systems to optimize irrigation, predict drought conditions, things like that.
It's like tailoring technological solutions to the unique needs and challenges of the region. It makes you realize that AI isn't just some abstract concept. It's a tool with the potential to make a real-world impact.
Exactly. And then you have the ethical considerations, which are a big part of the AI conversation globally. The Middle East is no different in that regard. There are ongoing discussions about responsible AI development, bias in algorithms, data privacy. These are important conversations happening at universities and research centers throughout the region.
It's encouraging to know that ethical considerations are being like woven into the fabric of AI research and development, not treated as an afterthought. It speaks to that responsible innovation we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. And it circles back to that international collaboration we discussed. These are global challenges that require global solutions, and the Middle East is very much a part of that conversation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into academia in the Middle East, what's the key takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with today?
The Middle East offers a unique and often overlooked path for academics seeking adventure, intellectual stimulation, and the opportunity to make a real difference. Don't let stereotypes hold you back. Do your research, reach out to people, and see if this vibrant and dynamic region might be the right fit for your academic journey.
It's about challenging those preconceived notions, embracing new possibilities, and maybe even surprising yourself with where your academic path takes you. Thanks for joining us on this eye-opening journey. And remember, the world of academia is vast and full of exciting opportunities if you're willing to explore beyond the familiar.